right. Well, we'll probably repeat ourselves a little bit because we were talking before we started recording. But um, do you go by Ben, Benjamin, Fritzy? What do you go by?
My film name is Fritzy, as a writer and producer and director, simply because I was an actor for a long time, and Ben Fritz is what my credits are under, and I just kind of wanted a little more distinction between that. So,
Okay.
since I'm stepping into the writer, producer, director role today, let's just go with Fritzy.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. Well, the first thing I saw when I when I turned on the camera is I see your ASU hoodie, and I'm like, wait, what? I thought you're from Wisconsin. What's ASU have to do with this?
Yeah, well, I went to college at Arizona State, and I was fortunate enough to walk on and make the football team in '96, and was a member of the team for the '97 Rose Bowl. Um, a good, I think my most distinguishing note on that team was I was one of two players with a 4.0 GPA. So I helped lift the overall average of the GPA on the team.
Maybe.
But injury eventually led me back into the arts more, and I ended up graduating with a degree in theater from ASU, then moving to Tucson and studying massage therapy and the healing arts in Tucson while I was doing a lot of theater there as well before moving to California and getting into film. So
Awesome.
that's the story.
So, what brought you to Wisconsin?
Well, I grew up in Wisconsin. Grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, and my it was my football dream that kind of took me out west, and then it just opened up into so much more. And I used to run around trying to make films when I was 11 years old in my neighborhood, and have little garage sales to make a little budget. And there was never any, real guiding hand or any resources to kind of guide me. So that kind of piddled out, and I went the way of theater for a while until I finally got back on track. And so here I am. I was living in Los Angeles, and I came home to do a project because I was a little burnt out in LA for a while. I'd worked on some pretty cool stuff, both as an actor and also doing a lot of location scouting and assistant directing, with films that were in theaters and on Netflix and all that fun stuff. And then my mother had some illness stuff going on, so I decided to stay. And I developed a company with my partner in LA, and he'd send projects to me to continue to do in Wisconsin. And currently even have a documentary on Netflix that I was a producer on. It's called Mission Joy, about the Dalai Lama and the Archbishop Desmond Tutu, how they've met adversity in their lives. Another one in the last year I was a co-producer on is called The Apology, which stars Janine Garofalo and Anna Gunn from Breaking Bad. So I've been able to keep my toe in the water, and in the meantime, create this nonprofit youth arts organization where we pair youth with film professionals to bring their stories to life. And sometimes we write the stories as well. So this film that we'll be showing here at your festival is one that I wrote, produced, and directed, and we do them on very minimal budgets and a lot of community help and volunteer work. And it's shot in one of Wisconsin's most beautiful resources, which is the Wisconsin River,
Hmm.
a place I grew up playing on. And I just wanted to capture a little bit of that in the film. And we kind of did it through the lens of kind of like an old Americana story. It's a bit of a Mark Twain esque
Hmm.
type of story, and addressing some some hot topics today. And we feel that the good art definitely challenges our beliefs and stimulates conversation, and ultimately hopefully brings us together in understanding. And um, and so that was ultimately the goal with this. And like with Arizona, Wisconsin is a state that is tends to be a bit of a swing state and has such a wide variety of people. and sometimes that can make people feel pretty passionate and fiery. But I really love that. There's a little element of kind of rogueness in both these states, a little bit of kind of resistance to just status quo or going along with whatever, um, and so I think how appropriate for this film to have its premiere in Arizona.
Yeah, well, we're excited to be showing it. Um, I love the project that you're doing to help youth get into film out there. I just got off a call with another filmmaker that we were interviewing for here, and he's part of a project like that out in San Francisco. And then there's another film. That immediately you reminded me of when I was hearing some of your backstory. There's a place out in California where they get kids together and they make movies, and so I think it's cool that this is happening all over the country, and I think it's really important.
Yeah. Yeah, especially I think in the middle of the country, because I think if you're a kid growing up in California, it's very easy to kind of wrap your mind around, yeah, I can do this. They're doing this down the street, you know. It's a little different, I think, for a kid in the middle of the country, who maybe doesn't have as many resources and means, and like, how do I get out to California? And also, California seems like a totally different country, I know that's how it was for me as a kid, and finally getting out there and realizing, oh, they put their pants on the same way here. Okay, yeah, I can do this. Okay, I got it. All right, so that's kind of the bridge I'm hoping to kind of gap for some people, and also just these advancements in technology really make it possible for film to be made anywhere, and it's awesome because I think we'll get a lot more different kinds of stories than what's been told in the past as well.
Yeah, I think that's really important. When we were trying to decide, what we could do that was distinct and unique for our festival, we thought, well, let's let's limit the budget. Let's make sure that these are movies that we cut off the top end of it, and it the pattern that I'm seeing is we're seeing a lot of movies premiere here. Um, I think because we're providing a place where someone who's not working from a huge budget is able to share a good story. But we're really proud of the movies that we're showing, and we're really excited. One of which being your film, Upriver. So you said a little bit about the idea for how you the Americana of it, and then the Huck Finn story. But that's hard filming on a boat, right? Like, how did you do that?
Yes, yes. I definitely have a tendency of experimenting and biting off a little more than I can chew. I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I like filmmaking, is kind of constantly having to grow and figure things out and problem solve, right? Um, Originally, I thought that I was going to get like a couple of pontoon boats somehow, borrow some from some people, and that we'd kind of just float around this pitcher boat, But the nature of the Wisconsin River is that it has all these shifting sandbars, and so we would have been running aground all the time, and it would have been a mess. And that's where working with the Friends of the Lower Wisconsin Riverway, they call themselves FLOW, really came in handy, because not only did they know the river expertly. I like to think I'm an expert because I do spend a lot of time there, but not the way they do. The our guide had a very special boat with like jet propellers that could kind of like go over these sandbars and stuff, and he helped us move about. Um, and we spent a night out on a sandbar, and even got a little had a storm come in the middle of a scene, and had to kind of all take shelter and then come back out and try to nail it. But uh, there's something really cool about being out in the elements. Something where you feel like I think you're capturing something really unique, because you're taking a little more of a risk, um, and and you're giving up control, because when you're shooting in a soundstage, you've got a lot of control over all the elements, and um, stepping out into that was different. So here's a good story. There were many a times that I could not sit behind the cameraman or look at a monitor because we had so few hands because we could only fit so many people on boats. And there's shots where I'm in the water holding the boat still while we're shooting, because I've got enough room on this boat for a cameraman and a sound engineer and the boat driver. And so that means I'm also the PA and the actors are in the pitcher boat. So like I'm crouched down, like holding the boat still so it's not going downriver. Definitely was a challenge in getting that boat and just everything rocking and trying to keep both boats somewhat near each other. That was a challenge.
Yeah, that sounds really difficult. When I started watching it, the first thing it reminded me of, not because it's the same story, but just because it's on a river, was Peanut Butter Falcon. And, I'd watched about how difficult that was to shoot. And, that's just a hard thing to do. But, kudos, you did it. You pulled it off.
Yeah, I hope I get another shot to. I hope I get another shot to work on the river again because you learn so much doing it the first
Hmm.
time, and then you're like, okay, if I can get a little more budget next time, get a few more boats. Oh, what we could do.
Hmm.
Um, so we'll see. We'll
So, how
see.
did you finance this one? Was it through that foundation, or is this out of pocket?
Yeah. So I do a lot of grant writing for the foundation. Everything I do is volunteer, and we do. I do raise enough budgets to pay my crew, but they're taking reduced rates. But also there isn't a lot of opportunity for people to shoot narrative stories in this area, and I tend to put together some pretty kind of unique and different stories that I usually can get people on board. Um, I also happen to have this professional company stash with my partner in LA, and I'll get professional jobs from LA coming, and so I can always kind of like kick that forward sometimes as an incentive. So you find ways, you make relationships. A lot of it is about community building. They call it creative space, and that's working hand in hand with other organizations, other businesses, and finding ways to kind of promote each other and just make a bigger network in your community. That's a lot about what we're about, and a big way in how um, our children's film academy survives and is growing. We're in our fourth year now. And every film that we do 3 films a year, and every film has gone to festivals and won awards, and we're very proud of the work that we're doing.
That's great. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that our company decided we wanted to do. When we've finished our first feature, we decided we wanted to build up filmmaking in our area. To pay it forward, to teach others, but also, we start training crew, then we have people to work with instead of having to do every single part ourselves. So it's a little self-serving, but
Sure.
we make films. We want to have an educational component to what we do, and we want to have our festival. So we're trying to do all these things together, not under a nonprofit. Though we've looked into it. We're just trying to make things happen, and it's so cool seeing so many people all across the country all have basically the same idea, trying to do something really similar, and we all kind of find our way through this festival, which is really, I think, kind of great. Kind of great
It
we're
is.
finding each
You
other.
guys got. I love hearing that your festival is, home to a lot of premieres for a lot, and that you have a cap kind of on the budget, because that is a huge, a huge factor in, what gets seen, and then of course, a certain quality. I mean, I think we're all capable of putting together, quality stories and films, and of course, when you've got a really big budget and you can really polish things off or go back and get those extra shots that didn't quite turn out the first time, I mean, that can make the big difference of you getting into a bigger festival or not. So um, you know personally, I kind of love working on a lower budget because it brings more creativity, I feel. You got to have a lot more problem solving, and you got to reach out to your community more. And for me, a big part of filmmaking is community making. Um, it's like the most collaborative art form there is, right? Like it's like you bring all the art forms into one, and nobody can say, "Oh, I made that film." You know, like that's my film. Like I couldn't possibly say that, really. I There's no way I could have pulled off any of this without the help and collaboration of so many people. And and that's what really makes me passionate about it, and I think makes it worthwhile doing is people, relationships, right? So.
Yeah, I agree. So, do you have any projects that you're currently working on? Do you know what's next?
Yeah, we do. I'm currently in pre-production for two projects. Was just location scouting this weekend. We're doing our own version of Snow White. So that's coming up in the midst of casting that right now. So we started last year a thing called the College Crew series, where we get kids who are in college film programs in some of the bigger roles of directing and running camera, and try to set them up for success. We've found that a lot of higher education um, programs don't always have as much opportunity to get on set, so we just wanted to create a little more opportunity for people. And it's neat to have just different generations working, with the kids. And then we also have another one written by a ninth grader called A Pirate's Life, and it's about a family of pirates who their way of living is kind of disappearing, and they've got to, maybe conform, maybe not. It's about embracing your uniqueness. So we've been looking at pirate ships and hunting pirate ship locations, which has been a lot of fun. So um, believe it or not, they're out there. Like that's the crazy thing is like you start going, I wonder how we're going to do this, and then you just start googling, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a cabin up the road that is a pirate ship, or there's even up in the North Woods, they have pirate ship tours on some of these chain of lakes, in northern Wisconsin. Like just the things that people are doing, for fun and passion, and so it'd be neat to see how it all works
Yeah,
out.
well, that's exciting. Good luck to you. I think
Yeah.
that's really
Thank you.
exciting. Well, do you have any advice for
Thank
anybody listening to this panel, whether they're currently filmmakers or they're looking at getting into it?
Yeah, my advice is just to keep doing it, find a way to just keep doing it, I think it's something that just keeps giving back to you the more and more you commit to it. And you might not always be making tons of money off of it, and there'll definitely be social pressures at times to maybe stop doing it. But, I find uh, that sometimes take little side roads, but I keep coming back to it because I think it's important. Telling stories is how we know what's possible, and it's how we connect. And without that, we're just paying bills, and that's not life. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you again for having us at your festival and being our world premiere for Upriver. I hope that everybody enjoys the film.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Fritzy. Appreciate your time.